Okay, so we discovered that we got cut off somehow, which is super irritating because we had lots of, well, Mo had lots of good info. And we were just going to recap, but then I feel like we're ripping you off. So we'll finish. Mo has two more very important points.
Yeah, those important ones.
We apologize if we've repeated, but we've already said it all, and we're not sure what we said and what we haven't. So I thought we'd come back and try to finish it off, and hopefully whatever happened doesn't happen again. Technology. All right. So
Ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
All right, yeah. So these are the two most important points, so that's why we don't want to miss them. So number two was make a weekly meal plan and meal prep. Meal prepping is super important. I know you've talked about it before. You could probably do a whole live thing on meal prepping. But like making your meal plan and buying only what you need for your groceries on the meal plan helps with your budget because you're not going to the grocery store without an idea and just buying stuff and then you don't end up making it. And again, like your weekly meal plan, you can, I think we talked about this before I got cut off, you can have a plan, but some things do change and then you just make something else or, to what your schedule is. The other thing was to take in the meal prepping, when you're meal prepping, or meal planning, I should say, use the flyer, like check your flyers of your regular grocery store or if you have a couple you go to, and try to incorporate the foods on the first page, like that first page of the flyer. Because those are door crashers and they're loss leaders for the grocery store. They're just blowing that stuff out to get you in. So, so trying some of them. Like there's some things you can't use, but for healthy eating, but just incorporate those. And we talked about Pinterest. You and I use that a lot.
Yeah.
Check out Pinterest to help you make easy meals, slow cooker meals, rice cooker meals, like the one pan things. And meal prepping, again, spend some time meal prepping.
Oh, shall I give my lecture again that I've already given?
Yeah, you had a good rant.
If you've seen the rant and I've already said it, then you're getting another rant. However, I did mention that for those who are already thinking, I don't have time to meal prep or I don't have time to eat breakfast. I hear it all the time. I call total BS on that because it's all in how you stack your life. It's all how you align your highest values with the rest of your life. If health is important to you, you'll find a way. You can get up 15 minutes earlier. You can, I forget what we talked about, spend a couple hours on Sunday prepping everything. You can spend an extra 15, 20 minutes in the morning getting your food and snacks ready.
Yeah, incorporate in your morning routine.
Totally. So those of you who say, I don't have time, is nonsense. People ask me how I get things done, and I get up usually around 5 o'clock in the morning, and people think that's ridiculous.
I don't get up that early.
However, I have 3 young kids, and my littlest is starting to wake up early at like 6, which is killing my morning routine. But I get up at that time to get the things that I want to do done. So usually I meditate, work out, journal, work on my A Course in Miracles stuff that I've been doing lately, getting my kids' lunches ready if I haven't already, getting whatever snacks, eating breakfast by myself in a quiet room is like this huge luxury, so I do that often. So if you start out by saying, I don't have time, then you either need to reframe your thinking or your wording or admit the fact that being healthy is not your priority. And that's end of story. And you can't argue that one. You can, but you just can't. You can't say your health is a priority and then also claim in the same sentence you don't have time, because you will find time. There's lots of other ways that you can find time. The times that you peruse Facebook, the TV that you watch, the sleeping in for 10, 11 hours. There's lots of ways you can cut your time and find time.
Yeah, you can even make it a family event to meal prep together with the kids.
Totally.
Another one, what I do a lot is make more of what I like, more supper, and then we have the leftovers for lunch. Like there's just time. Mm-hmm. There's time. Or there's a nice recipe I've done too, where I've done something in the slow cooker and cooked it in the night when we're sleeping.
Right.
And then your breakfast is ready in the morning.
Like overnight or crock pot oats.
Crock-pot oats, yeah. Yeah, mm-hmm. So there's just tons of things you can do.
Yep.
Yeah, oh, and I forgot this last time. When you have your frozen meals, make sure that you know, like, so if you've made meals ahead and you freeze them, make sure you're like, oh, tomorrow we're eating that, I need to take it out. That's, so you don't end up saying, oh no, I forgot to take that out of the freezer.
Right.
So that's important in that. I think that's it. Was that it for that? Yeah. So the most important thing of like how to save money on to eat healthy on a budget is looking for deals. Our local grocery store, Zayres, that we go to, has 50% off on stuff that's just getting really close to the expiry date that they know they just want to, instead of throwing it out or whatever they do, they just put it on 50% off. And then it's like, I try to, so if I see there's chicken, like 4 packets of chicken that are on 50% off, I grab all 4 of them. Now, again, when you do that, you need to adjust. If you know you take usually 2 packages of chicken a week and 2 the next week, then you need to make sure that you take those 2 packages out of your budget. So if you spent $40, which you use as an example, $40 on chicken, then you need to make sure you adjust your budget that you spent $20 this week and $20 for next week. Just if you're trying to keep close to a budget, and you don't want to always just keep buying stuff because it's on sale and not using it. And the other thing too, when I go into the store, that's the first thing I do is go look at these 50% off. I go to the produce. I don't buy regular produce. I go to the 50% off rack, see what's on there, and then whatever I need. Or I know the bananas are on sale one week, I'm like, okay, then I'll probably make this try to make more meals with that fruit. Or just things like that, the vegetable. If there was a vegetable on the rack, I'm like, oh, okay, I can incorporate that in that meal that I had planned. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, I think most grocery stores have at the end of their produce section before you're about to leave it.
Yeah, it's at the end too. You have to go to the end first.
You have to pick out ours. But you walk by it as you're leaving the section, and there's usually a rack with things that are starting to look a little bit funky, and they've put on sale. So that one day that I met Mo in the grocery store with my avocado that I was so excited about, I glanced down at her cart, and there were 50% off stickers on pretty much everything.
Pretty much. Majority of my groceries are on 50% off.
Yeah.
I buy most of it on sale. Oh, the hummus. Again, that, like I said that before. The one time I bought like a dozen containers of hummus, and I just freeze it because they were $1. Normally like $5. So it's just things like that. But again, you have to adjust your budget. And you can freeze a lot of stuff. So if you're buying all these extra things, just freeze them. Or we talked about dehydrating. Mm-hmm. You can dehydrate your fruit. So I freeze my meats, my tofu. The tofu, and make sure it's non-GMO tofu. I only buy that at half off, and you can freeze that. Super easy. You just freeze it in that package. Take it out. I freeze hummus. I freeze yogurt, cheese. You could freeze fruits. You could freeze vegetables. Now, with the fruits, I usually just freeze like that, but the vegetables, you need to make sure some of them you have to blanch. So you can check online which ones you need to blanch before you freeze them, and freeze them in portions.
Can you mention what blanching is?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so blanching is when you boil water. Like, I'll use green beans. Your beans have to be blanched. So you boil water, you throw your beans in for 5 minutes, and then you throw them in either a cold water ice bath. So that's blanching, and then take them out, and then you freeze them in your packages.
And there's guides online that you can look at for what needs to be blanched and what doesn't.
Yeah, I usually go to Pinterest and just enter the search what vegetables, and then I find Pinterest is just easier than like Googling because it takes you to the right websites, and you can be more specific about what you want.
All right.
I forgot. I went to Zayres. When I went to Zayres that time, she was putting 50% off on the greens. Most of my greens. Oh yeah, I freeze spinach all the time. That's another thing I free. She told me that they put the 50% sticker on when it's 2 days before the expiry. Mm-hmm. So I now go look and say, hey, this is expiring in 2 days. Can you put 50% off on it? And they usually do.
Actually, one time I was walking in the produce section, and the man working there was putting stickers on things, and he just grabbed a sticker and threw it on something in my cart, which I was like, all right, that was nice.
Yeah, they're really good there.
Make friends with your grocery people.
And that's what some people are like, oh, you shop at Zayres. That's the most expensive store around. But when I'm buying it at 50% off, or like final sale where it's like $1, it's cheaper than anywhere.
Right.
So it's a lot it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah,
And you have to look every like all your normal aisles, because again that could be another thing. Usually
Right.
I only go in the perimeter of the grocery store. I never go
Totally.
down the aisles. But you got to look. You have to look for that sticker,
Hmm.
and it's everywhere.
And if you make friends with the people who work there, they often have the tips and tricks, insights for how you can save money. And I've posted this on Facebook before. The produce guy, I should probably find out his name at some point. They do a lot of fresh pressed juices there, and he gave me this giant one and two smaller ones for free.
For free, yeah.
I was walking by, and he knows I have 3 children, and he said, "Do you guys like fresh pressed juice?" And I'm like, "Of course." So, yeah. So make friends with the people that work at your grocery store.
And when you put 50% off on the belt, make sure you put it all together and tell them, because sometimes the girls can't see the sticker. Oh, and check your receipt. I always check my receipt as I'm walking out. There's been a couple of times where I've gone back in and say, hey, you forgot to put this 50% off, because it adds up.
Totally.
Yeah, I think that was it. I think that's all we missed.
One thing I wanted to mention, I feel like we're missing a couple of things here, but I'm just going back for a second to the weekly meal plan and meal prep. There are lots of, I'm a paper girl, like books. I need to read the book. I can't do the online or the device version. My calendar is a book. So
that's how we knew we were meant to be.
I know. We built all our giant calendars, not our
day timers.
So for meal plan, you can always go to Pinterest and type in printable meal plan, and there's a whole or meal prep.
Meal prep. No, weekly meal plan.
Yeah. Or Google it, and you can get a whole bunch that you can print off that are super cute, and you can write in each day to help you keep organized. And that way, I don't know if you mentioned this or not, but you can make your grocery list based on, okay, I'm having this, 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 and this. What do I need to buy this week that corresponds with what we're planning to have? So rather than just going to the store and buying a whole bunch of groceries and not knowing what to do with it all, you can plan ahead, get your groceries from there, so you're not buying extra food that you might not be using.
Yeah, and for the meal prepping, like if you know you're gonna, when your meal plan, you're like, oh, I'm gonna use rice. I always use rice because you can make it in batches. Oh, I'm gonna use rice 3 times this week. So on Sunday or Monday, you make a big batch, and then you have it for all your meals. Oats, same thing. Like there's
Overcook everything, like not
just
overcook, but cook a lot more.
Cook a lot more for meal prepping, and cook more of it. Like make more than what you're actually gonna eat. Yeah,
and then you just freeze the extras. I met with someone last night who is a single woman, so she lives on her own. So her concern, and I hear this quite often actually, is I'm cooking for one. I'm just eat whatever I want, because what's the point of cooking for one? Well, a lot of times I cook for me because my kids won't eat what I eat. Definitely not my husband. My daughter said the other day to me, "Mommy, I'm not going to trust anything you say." I'm like, "What do you mean you're not going to trust anything I say? What the heck? Because you eat gross stuff." I'm like, "What?" So oftentimes I'm cooking for me. So what I like to do, like I was talking about the giant pot of whatever mixed stuff. I think I've talked about that. And then I just get glass containers and put individual portions in these glass containers and throw them in the freezer, because at some point there probably will be weeks where you don't have as much time as you typically do. Yeah. And you maybe can sometimes use the excuse that you don't have enough time. But then your fridge should be full of healthy options that you've frozen. Even the little cookies Mo was talking about with the banana and oats that she made, you can make a whole heck of a lot. I don't want to curse. A whole ton of those at one time. It takes barely any extra effort than whipping a few extra bananas together and throwing on a few extra oats, and then just having that available in your freezer for the future. Just freeze it and then grab it when you need it. I actually find it's easier to cook for myself than more, because I just eat whatever. Totally. Everything goes on a bed of lettuce. Rice, lettuce. Rice, yeah. Whatever. Yeah, so freezing is super important. Makes things a lot easier. Yeah, and then cooking giant batches, which we're not even, again, I guess we're getting on the topic of healthy eating, but anyways, we could talk forever about this. So those are some ideas for saving money. I hope you found them helpful. I think that's about it, right? Yeah, that was about it that we missed. Mo could talk probably for 16 hours straight on this, and she has a million different tricks and tips for saving money, which are really amazing. Just go to the grocery store once and you're going to be blown away. I probably won't ever do it again. Do you remember that one time? I think we were in St. Catharines somewhere, Niagara Falls, weren't we?
Where-
And you were like yelling at me. I was not looking on the ends of
Oh,
aisles.
yeah, that was when we were buying stuff for your fundraiser. I was like,
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah.
were just grabbing stuff. I was like, what do you mean you're just grabbing stuff?
She's
You gotta look at the
organic.
price. Look, this one's cheaper. That was another thing I want to say. Like now, before there used to be like only one brand of organic thing,
Right.
and now there's like more companies that are coming out. Like, for example, I buy a lot of PC organics now. Like, where
Mhm.
at one time it was only a certain kind, like Bob's Red Mill, right? So now it's more competitive. So if you know it's the same quality you're getting, then go for the cheaper option.
Yeah, and it's getting that way because more people are coming to understanding of what organics does for our body and what pesticide sprayed food does to our body. So more people are buying more organics, which means it's becoming more available. So you're voting with your dollars. So the more you buy organics, the more you buy those types of foods, the more they're going to become available and the price point should go down.
Yeah.
Hey, bub, we're downstairs. Okay. That's probably a good
Yeah.
time to end.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, like no, I mean again, yeah, we could probably go on for another like 40 minutes, and then
minimum.
again and again and again.
For days on end.
But I mean, eating healthy on a budget is pretty easy. You just have to look for stuff and take the time. If you want to be healthy, you have to take the time.
Yep. No
And it's
excuses.
there. It's there.
It's there. So you don't have to be all or nothing. I myself am very much a work in progress. I'm still learning. I'm still growing in this subject area. Hi, handsome. So what I would suggest is it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Can you say hi? Say hi. Did you have a good nap? What you can do, I hope you've taken notes, and just choose one of the 10 items that Mo talked about to focus on.
Yeah.
So
Slowly get into it.
Maybe it's knowing your prices and start focusing on that for the next couple weeks and getting that under your belt. And then maybe you can start to look for deals and sales or do those types of things. So choose one thing to focus on. If this seems very overwhelming to you, which to me it does often, just choose one of those areas to focus on and work your way from there. And you'll find when it comes to the area of health, period, once you start focusing on one area, you have that desire to start expanding the rest of your life. So once you start becoming a little bit healthier, you have a desire to start changing in other areas of your life. And I feel the same probably goes for saving money and eating healthy on a budget. Once you start zoning in on one of those areas, you'll have that desire and that openness and the willingness to start learning and growing in the other areas.
Yeah, that's where I started, was knowing my pricing, because I remember we had a budget where it was like, my husband was like, well, we can only spend this much on groceries. I'm like, I need to spend way more on groceries. Well, when he, like, that amount that he told me that's the budget, I spend half of that now.
Wow.
So you just, knowing where you're spending your food, writing down where you spend your food and how much, you will then realize and go, oh, this is pretty easy. That's how I started. He was like, you need to spend this much on groceries. I'm like, okay. And having my budget then made me look and say, well, I can save here, I can do this, then I can get more money or things like that.
Right. So no longer can you use the time excuse that you don't have time,
Yeah.
and no longer can you use the excuse that healthy food is too expensive, so why bother? You've got some tools and information to go forward with now, and we hope that was helpful. If you have any other questions, we may look at diving into this is kind of a part 2 because we got cut off.
So part 3.
A part 3 where Mo gives even more tips and tricks that are more detailed. These are kind of when you're starting out.
Yeah.
And a little bit of refining some of the basic concepts. So she might go into that. But if you have any questions or comments for her or I, feel free to leave them on the Facebook page of Rachel's Fitness and Wellness. And we hope you've learned something. I'm sure you have. And I hope you have some tools to carry forth with you in the future. So thank you for joining us today. It was
Thank
so
you for having me.
lovely to have you.
It was fun.
And spilling my avocado secret.
Yep. Somebody had to say something.
Damn it.